Hi everyone, my name is Yixuan Liu, and today I'm presenting my project titled Alibaba's Asia Pacific Expansion as Digital Globalization. In this presentation, I will briefly summarize my paper and show how Alibaba's regional expansion can be understood through the lens of globalization rather than simple digital imperialism. And the central question of my research is Alibaba expanding globally through digital imperialism, or is it just a more complex form of globalization that blends global influence with local adaptation? This question matters because Chinese platforms are becoming major players across the Asia Pacific region, and their strategies don't always fit traditional Western models of cultural domination. And to understand Alibaba's expansion, we first need to look at the border's context. China has been building what some scholars call digital empire, supported by national strategies like the Belt and Road Initiative. Platforms such as Alibaba are encouraged to expand outward, not just economically but also as part of China's soft power. At the same time, critics raise concerns about digital colonialism, the idea that technological infrastructure and data extraction can recreate forms of dependency similar to earlier colonial systems. And the theological framework of my paper brings together three major ideas. First, cultural imperialism, a traditional model that describes how powerful nations impose their cultural value on others. But many scholars argue the model is too simplistic today. So, second, I use the idea of globalization, which sees globalization as negotiation between global forces and local cultures. And finally, I apply platform imperialism from an Asian perspective, which highlights how platforms like Alibaba can still pursue dominance, but in more flexible and local adaptive ways. And I bring two areas, which is Hong Kong and Singapore first. So in Hong Kong, Alibaba expanded by localizing its services. For example, Alipay Hong Kong used local currency and partnered with local payment companies like TapPay, and this shows that Alibaba did not simply impose its existing model but adapted to local financial habits and infrastructure. And in Singapore, the strategy looks different. Alibaba invested in infrastructure, most notably establishing a research institute with Nanyang Technological University and using Singapore as a regional headquarters. This wasn't about exporting Chinese cultural content, but also about inserting Alibaba into Southeast Asia's technological ecosystem. And together, Hong Kong and Singapore shows that Alibaba relies heavily on localized adaptation, even while expanding its regional influence. And we jumped into Taiwan. Taiwan is the most complex case due to its political sensitivity. Alibaba initially operated very low profile and registered through its Singapore's subsidiary to avoid political restrictions, but by 2018, over 72% of Taiwan's cross-border online shoppers were using Alibaba platforms. This success depended heavily on local proxy shipping companies, Taiwanese intermediaries who consolidated and delivers goods. So again, we see a hybrid structure. Alibaba provides that platform, but local actors shapes how the system actually works on the ground. And to conclude, Alibaba's expansion in the Asia Pacific region cannot be understood only as digital imperialism or only as globalization. It is actually both a hybrid model where global platforms' power coexist with deep local adaptations, and this represents a new kind of Asian platform capitalism where influence spread not just through culture but through infrastructure, data, and localized negotiation. Alibaba shows us that global media power today is multi-centered and far more complex than traditional Western cultural imperialism models. And thank you for listening my presentation. I hope this project gave you a better understanding of how Alibaba's expansion reflects on new patterns of global media power. Thank you.